believe that everyone has a mission in life. We're gonna work for probably most of our life. So why would you do something that you don't resonate with? Our thoughts are not reality. Our thoughts are just thoughts created from our brain to sabotage us, basically, most of the time. Yeah, imposter syndrome is actually something that we all have, to be honest. If we try to fight what's there, we're not going to win. If we accept it, then we can try to change it. So that's the key. If your self-esteem is low, you're so limited in your life. You are your own business. So you need to take care of your business. That's what's really important. What would you do if you didn't have fear?
Are you following your main mission? Are you happy with your life, with your business, with your startup? Are you progressing as you were expecting? Today we will discover the importance of your main mission, the one mission that you were maybe even born to, and it will allow you to have much more happiness, much more fun, and much more success, probably. And this episode is focused, of course, on entrepreneurs. And Marta, our guest today, will tell you valuable lessons about having a main mission, why is it important, and how to make the best out of it. And then we will cover important topics like self-esteem, self-sabotaging, fears, and choosing the right path that is aligned with your interests and strengths. Marta, welcome. I'm so glad to have you on our podcast.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
So could you tell us a little bit about yourself? You are a coach, and why did you choose exactly this direction?
Yes, of course. As you mentioned before, I believe that everyone has a mission in life. And I always knew somehow that mine was to help people. I kind of discovered it in middle school, in elementary school, when I was always the advisor of my friends. And so it was kind of natural for me to make it become a profession, So when I had to decide what to study, it was kind of natural for me to say, okay, I'm going to be a psychologist. I didn't know back then that I wanted to be a psychologist. I worked online and I wanted to be a digital nomad. That, of course, came later. But yeah, since then that I knew what I wanted to do. And yeah, after graduating in psychology and doing 1 year of internship in Italy, I also started to become a coach, did a master in coaching. And then I started working online and traveling while working. So that's how I built my current reality, which I'm very happy about.
I'm a big fan of psychology because it changes so much in our behavior and happiness. I discovered that myself in 2020 during Corona lockdown, and I realized how much happier I became after working on my psychology, on my mental health, on my self-esteem. So it's kind of a path to more happiness and success. What is your specialty? What do you focus on?
That's a very good question. I call myself a well-being psychologist because I work mostly on the empowerment of the personal strength of the person. I work with people's mission, that we get deeper into that later, people personal values. I don't work so much I don't like diagnosing, and I don't work so much with psychopathologies or diseases, although I have some clients that I work on it as well, of course. But my main focus is the empowerment, I would say. Yeah.
That's awesome. Then let's jump into the first topic, the one main mission. Could you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so basically, I'm sure everyone heard what a Ikigai is. It's actually a Japanese concept, which was westernized. And it's basically like a mix of 4 elements. It's our passion, so what we love to do, our vocation, so what we're good at, our personal strength, our mission, so what the world needs, and our profession, so what you can get paid for. And if you try to feel all of these, to answer all of these questions, you see that at the end, there's a lot of exercises to get to the Ikigai, of course. At the end, you will come to a main, I believe that everyone has a main mission and main purpose to what they were born for. And every one of us has one. For some people, it's just a little bit more difficult to find which one it is. And what I help to do is, thanks to exercises and practical activities, help people to find out what their mission is. Because when we find out what our mission is, we live a life that is aligned with this mission. And I also work a lot with personal values. So we also live a life that is aligned with our personal values. We have a sense of happiness that is not just like based on a moment, but it lasts for a very long time. It's a stable sense of happiness. That's how I would call it. So it's very important to look for our mission, to find it. And again, I feel super lucky for the fact that I found mine when I was so young. And what I try to do is to help people to do the same thing. So that's why the concept of mission is so important. It basically makes us happy. So, I mean, why not work on it, right? Yeah.
I know from my parents, especially my father, he doesn't seem like happiness is an important part of our work, of our career. For him, it's like, okay, you earn money, you are not supposed to be happy. So it's a bit difficult, yeah, now, like with the society, with the restraints, with the fears, you want to earn money as quickly as possible. And I think there is this perception that you can be happy or you can be kind of like successful and rich. For example, like you can follow your passion as a artist or like those areas, history and so on. Or you can go into finance and IT. And I think some people don't even like the IT or finance, but they go there just to earn money. What is your view on that?
Thank you for bringing that up. It's a very big topic for me because, I mean, where I'm from Italy, from Milan. I see so many people that work so much on things that they don't like, they don't believe in. And to me, that's just wrong because why wouldn't you do something that you resonate with, that you actually like, instead of doing something that might bring you more money, but it's not going to make you as happy, you know? And eventually, I believe that if you do what you love and you really believe in it, you're going to make money because you're going to work well with people. Like you're going to be successful for sure. Maybe even more than if you did something that you don't really like. And some people just don't realize that and keep on doing something they're not really passionate about. But that's not going to make them happy. And I just feel really bad for these people. And I have a lot of examples in my life. And it's like, yeah, that's what I try to help people to find more satisfaction and more success. It doesn't have to be only on the economic side, but like success as a person, as a whole, you know, being satisfied with what you do, with the life that you build for yourself, with who you are, not just based on money. And honestly, like I always say, it's a bit of an extremism, but I always say it's better to be happy and satisfied and poor than to be rich and successful but unhappy. Like I feel like you cannot put a price on happiness and freedom. So yeah, that's a very, very big topic for me. Very relevant topic, as you could say. Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe that. I also have the theory that with more happiness, if you like doing something, maybe in the short term, it might take a bit longer. But in the long run, you can be successful, even much more successful than with something you don't like. And from my opinion, you can correct me if I'm wrong, also the chances of burnout and other mental like sicknesses are much less risky.
Yeah. And like, I mean, we're going to work for probably most of our life, like at least 8 hours a day. So why would you do something that you don't resonate with? Like, I don't know, like I have my sister, for example, she's doing something in marketing. She's not very fulfilled by it. And like the days, and I also have a lot of friends like that, the days feel so long and like you have this Sunday night anxiety.
Yeah.
And I never, like, honestly, I feel so lucky because I never had that. I had it when I was working as a support teacher, for example, which is a very hard job. When I just finished my state exam, it's like, oh, I was studying for my state exam. But I knew that was not what I meant to do. Like, I believe that if you do what you're meant to do, you shouldn't have the Sunday, I call it the Sunday night anxiety, or like feel like your days are so long and be like, I cannot wait for Friday. Why wouldn't you enjoy the life that you have now and enjoy your job and enjoy your everyday life instead of having to wait for Friday, for the weekend, for the holidays or to be retired to enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, it's a very risky plan to start enjoying your life when you retire, because so many things can go wrong with your health, with your with accidents and with mental health.
Yeah, you're gonna regret it 100%.
Do you have some stories where people came to you without a mission and maybe you change their lives for the better, and how those lifestyles compare to each other before and after.
Yeah, so I actually, maybe it's a little bit, I don't know if it answers your questions, but I have a lot of people that come to me because they, like me, they want to become digital nomads, basically, but they don't know what to do. And like, they come to me and they have so many, I have this girl that I actually saw this morning. She had so many talents, but she didn't know which one to focus on. I really believe in like people that are multi-potential. They have so many gifts. Like, it's so beautiful. But sometimes, and I'm one of them, I also have a lot of different passions and stuff, not just psychology. I have so many things. It can be difficult to figure out how to focus on just one. So what I tried to do with her, also to support her to actually become a digital nomad, which was her dream. And I completely resonate with it because I'm one of them. And I know what it's like when you feel like stuck and then forced to be in a city that you don't belong to. I helped her. We did a lot of exercises about Ikigai, a lot of questions like figuring out, for example, what did you like to do as a child? What are your main passions? What did you dream about? What do you dream about now? And like, what are you good at? What do people ask you for advice for? And within all those things that she had, we narrowed it down to like maybe like 2 or 3, and then she is actually now managing to build, also because we worked a lot on her confidence, on her self-esteem, which is what we're going to talk about soon, I guess, as well. And so we did a kind of like two parallel works, like one, the coaching side to find out what she wanted to do and how she could build a life that allowed her to do so. And the psychological side, we work on her self-esteem, on her judgments, negative thoughts. She also had a big imposter syndrome and all of these things. So this combined, it meant that now she's actually on the verge of becoming a digital nomad and doing what she really loves to do, which is basically working in social media and CEO and all of these things. But she didn't know it before. Like, she was working for a company in a field that was close to that, but it was not that, and she didn't feel satisfied. So I helped her to find out what she actually wants to do, and that was really rewarding for me and for her. And it's really important for me to see that progress that people can, of course, for different people it's different, but to see the progress that people can make and how you actually help them. Of course, their work is mostly made by the people. I just help them, basically. I support them, but they have to do the job, and that's really important, because a lot of people think that they're going to come to you and you're going to do the job for them. That is not how it works. Yeah. But it's so important for me to see the progress and like support her. And I feel so proud of the work that we've done together. And I believe that this double thing of working on the coaching side and also the psychological side, because I'm a psychologist and a coach as well, like gives you a lot of power to actually change things. So yeah, that's the story.
Yeah, I wonder why many people don't do that. Have you had people who came to you and they didn't do their part and they didn't change?
Oh yeah, so many.
Yes.
So many.
And do you understand what a common issue is, like across so many people?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, it's basically like they think they have the wrong conception, the wrong expectations about psychologists, about a therapist or a coach. They think that you're going to give them like the perfect solution or the perfect strategy to do stuff, and they're not going to have to do anything. But that's like, it exists, but it's like a mentor, you know, it's not a psychologist or a coach. A psychologist or a coach will support you in a process that you have to do, and you have to put yourself out there to do that. So I would say a lot of people are maybe scared to put themselves out there and to put themselves into discussion. And there's also a lot of people who, for whom like their condition, their like maybe unsatisfaction or unhappiness becomes kind of like their comfort zone. So it's difficult for them. Yeah, it's very difficult for them to get out of it, you know, like maybe their self-sabotaging issues, their fears, they become their comfort zone. And it's been like that for so long that it's very sad. But it's difficult for them to get out of it and to actually change. So yeah, I would say that those are the main things. But there's, I always have to do, like in the first session, for example, I always have to clear up the expectations of the people. Because it's so important. Like, it's not going to work if you think that, I'm going to do the job for you. That's not how it works. You have to put yourself out there and luckily there's a lot of people who want to do that. But with some, it's more difficult. You have to put yourself out there and put yourself into discussion. I actually want to change, that's the motivation is also very important. So if somebody is sent from someone else and doesn't have the motivation, like, I don't know, their partner or their parents or whatever, sometimes it works because they also understand the importance of the work, but sometimes it's just very difficult. Yeah.
I know so many people who I'm trying kind of to convince to go to a mentor or therapist. Because I'm pretty sure if they did it and if they follow through, they would increase their happiness and success and other things. But yeah, there is such a huge barrier. I wonder, is it related to their character, or is it just if they stayed too long in this comfort zone? And do we have some tools that those people could use to change their life? Or do they have to wait until it's really, really painful and then they make the move?
That's what sometimes happens. Like it just becomes too much and then they actually motivated to change. But there's other ways, what I talk about a lot with my clients is awareness. Like I try to make them aware of what is happening inside of them, like the thoughts. I work a lot on negative thoughts and reframing those negative thoughts. So being aware of the thought that you're having and trying to change them, to also observe them from a distance. So that's what can be done. But yeah, of course, like for some people it's easier. For some people it's more difficult. It's also sometimes difficult for people to ask for help because like I believe that, for example, in the Italian society, it's not that common it's common to go to a psychologist, but it's still seen as like you're sick, Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of people who would need it and are not doing it because of this kind of like social stigma that exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say in this case, like the awareness is the number one thing to do. That like there's no practical exercise that work with everyone. We just have to work together with that person to make them aware of what's happening, of the defenses, because like this is just the defenses coming up, like they come up when you start a new relationship, a new job, but also when you start therapy, for example, like the condition of like our body and our mind wants to keep us the way that we were, the way that we are, because we function like that, we're used to work like that. If you get a new partner that kind of like puts everything into discussion, or get a new job or start therapy, that your body and your mind know that something is going to change. They try to keep you hooked to what you were before, and that's not going to work. So yeah, it's all a matter of defenses, and they're sometimes difficult to be aware of and to change. Yeah, but that's what I would say, like trying to be aware of what's happening in you. That's the key of everything. That's what I try to work on a lot with clients that have these kind of issues.
Also, the problem is that we don't know what normal is. We always look at from our perspective. And we live like 20, 30, 40 years with those negative thoughts, with those negative limitations. And for us, it's the normal thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's so true what you say. Like a lot of people, including me, because I also done therapy on myself. Like I'm not perfect. I had to work on to get where I am now a lot.
Yeah.
We start to believe in those thoughts as well. Like we believe that those thoughts are the reality, and that's really dangerous because like those thoughts are not the reality. But if we really believe in that, we're gonna feel really bad, about it. So it's all a matter of what I'm working a lot as well with my therapist, and what I try to work on with my clients as well is try to detach ourselves from the negative thoughts and to look at them from a distance and to be like, okay, this is how it is today, but tomorrow it might be different. I might be feeling a completely different way, and it's okay. And it's also okay if I feel like this now, but allow yourself to feel that, but also don't get too much into it, because again, our thoughts are not reality. Our thoughts are just thoughts created from our brain to sabotage us, basically, most of the time. There's also a lot of happy and positive thoughts, but most of our thoughts is been scientifically proven that are negative, so it's very important to be aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's probably from the survival perspective.
Exactly.
Back then, many years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to survive.
It was much more important to recognize danger than to be happy and and like enjoying the sun and the weather and the view.
Yeah. And yeah, something that it's also very important, and maybe some people that listen can get something out of it. Maybe a little exercise that they can do is like, I work a lot with the gratitude as well, like being aware of the happy moments, that because like our mind is trained to be much more aware and to remember most of the negative moments and negative thoughts. So when you have a positive experience, I also do it on myself a lot. I write so much. I have a journal in which I write so much. So try to write down the positive feeling, the positive sensation, or you can also do at the end of the day, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. You can also do it in the morning if it's better, but try to focus on the positive. I know it sounds like it's not that big of a deal, but it is, because we really have to shift our perspective. And I've done it on myself, and I swear that it's really powerful from being focus on the negative, on what's wrong, to be focused on what's positive. It doesn't mean that we don't see the negative anymore. It just means that we try to, when we have something positive, we try to savor it. We try to live it as much as we can and to remember it instead of just taking it, because sometimes we take it for granted, we just let it pass by, but that's not good for us.
Yes, I agree. I think most of our listeners have much more positive things in their life than negative, but like small negative thing can spoil the whole day despite having amazing day before that. I did improv show last Wednesday.
I love it. I also do it.
We are performing in front of an audience. It's like our 3rd show. And this time I was not very happy with my performance. And I was beating myself a little bit up. And then I switched the view on that. And I was thinking, okay, imagine if my parent or my inner child, me from like when I was 10 years old, would look at my performance. And what would they say? Even if it's not optimal, they would say, wow, you dare to perform in front of the audience. That's amazing. That's already very few people are brave enough to go out there. And then suddenly I felt much better.
Yeah, that's reframing, also looking at things from a different perspective. And like, it might not be perfect right now, but like if you saw it like maybe a few years ago, you wouldn't even never thought that it was possible, so that's really good reframing that you did. I'm proud of you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 interesting things that we can dive a little bit deeper later on or whenever you want. So the imposter syndrome, for example, that's very common. I might have it as well. Probably very likely I have it. And it's also a bit difficult to recognize, I think, because for me, I am like every project in marketing is different, or most of the projects. And it's even if I know Google Ads, for example, in and out, there is something new like product. And I am like, okay, I haven't done exactly this project. So I'm not sure if I am like qualified enough. I know I will find a solution, but I try like, okay, because I haven't done it like 10 times the same type of product, I will ask for a lower price. And I think it's probably imposter syndrome, because my like outside my friends and stuff, they are telling me, of course you haven't done all of those products, like you haven't promoted all kinds of products, but you have like 20 years of marketing experience and you can use that.
Yeah, imposter syndrome is actually something that we all have, to be honest. It's all a matter of how again, like it's not a matter of the fact that there is, it's a matter of how you manage it, Like I've been doing this job for a long time now, but I also have like sessions that don't go as well as I planned. And I'm like, am I doing this job right? Should I have done something else? Like it's completely normal. But I know 99% of the time I feel really good at my job, but I talked about it with my therapist, and she has it as well. She had way more clients and experiences that I had. And I believe that if you talk to people, everyone has it, like 100%. Some people more, some people less. And even here, I don't want to repeat myself, but it's like being aware. It's important to be aware of what's happening. And like, what I try to do is like, okay, I'm having this, but maybe there was like, try to rationalize it a bit, maybe the person was not feeling well that day, or I was not feeling that well, or some factors came out. Like, I know that I'm good at what I do, like, and try to remind yourself that like most of the time you're good at what you do, and why wouldn't you be? And also write down, that's also like reflecting on the positive side. When you feel like you're good at what you do, write it down, 100%, because that's very important. And you have to remember it so that when you have the imposter syndrome moments, you can fight it somehow. And even here, try to be aware of your thoughts and try to be aware of your intrusive thoughts and how they're working on your mind, and how you can, and try to put them into discussion and to detach yourself from them a little bit, because they're just thoughts, But I believe that the society that we live in, it always pressure us to be the best, the fact that there's a lot of competition for every kind of job. There's 100 people that can do it better than you. It doesn't help at all. But you just have to try to focus on what you're doing and how you can. Of course, it's always important to improve and to grow, but it's also really important to remember that you're good at what you're doing. You have proofs of that, So that's what I try to do with myself and with my clients, to kind of fight this imposter syndrome. Try to rationalize and to remember that those are just thoughts, and also that it's just a moment, the next day you might feel completely different about that. So yeah. Sleep on it, for sure.
I think we overestimate others.
Oh, yeah.
We see successful people and we assume they are inside very confident. They think like they know everything. And then you talk with them in more detail and you realize, they also are unsure about their skills.
So I remember that I met this girl in band school, and she was she gave such a great speech, and I was so impressed by her. I was like, this woman is amazing. She's doing everything right. She knows everything. I want to be like her, And then we did an exercise together I think it was a mastermind or something. And she kind of revealed her fears, the imposter syndrome. I was like, she even had an imposter syndrome. This is crazy, it's, I thought she got it all figured out. She got it all right, but she even had, and that really hit me. I wrote it down because I wanted to remember that everyone has it. I believe that even I don't know, the biggest, whatever politicians or singers or most successful people of the planet have imposter syndrome. I remember that I saw in a reel or something that Rihanna even has it, the days that she doesn't feel as good. I mean, she's beautiful. She's an amazing singer. She's multimillionaire or something, but she has imposter syndrome. So that means something. We can't fight it or not have it. It's just a matter of, as everything in life, how you manage it, how you, detach yourself from those kind of thoughts, basically.
Yeah. If Rihanna has it, everyone is allowed to have them.
Exactly. That's what I thought as well.
The second thing I wanted to dive a little bit deeper, but we already explored it, the negative thoughts. I think also there is this risk of being too harsh with yourself. You say, you fucked it up. And then, why am I so negative? Why I'm not so positive? But you also what works from me, if I'm thinking about would I talk like that with my employee, with my child, with my friend, with my best friend? And in all of those cases, I would say no, definitely not. I would be much kinder.
Exactly. That's a really important technique that you're using. It's very big, and I also give it to my clients. To be fair, would you talk like that to a close friend, to a family member, to a coworker or something? No, you wouldn't. Why? Because most of the time we're so much more harsh on ourselves than we are on other people. And it's so important. And I work on it a lot as well, to be kind and compassionate to us and to accept that we can make mistakes. We can have the negative thoughts and negative moments. And one of my key words, which is also related to the meditation and mindfulness and everything, is accepting, If we try to fight what's there, we're not going to win. If we accept it, then we can try to change it. So that's the key of everything, I would say.
Wow, that's interesting. So if I have those negative thoughts or unhappy feelings, then I can accept them, stay with them, and it works out by itself almost.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, of course, you can always use like techniques to detach it, like to write down the negative thoughts and reframe them and change them. Of course, that's also an important part.
Yeah.
But most of the time, and I see it on myself as well in the past, we try to fight what's there, to not accept it, to fight it, to control it as well. Like we want to control everything. That's how we're trained to be, but it's not going to work. Like it's never going to work. And what like the hardest we try to fight it, the worse it's going to be. So what we can do is be like, okay, today I feel like this. I did this mistake. I've done this wrong. It's okay. You know, it's fine. And what can I do from here? Where can I go from here? You know?
Yeah, one of the fruits from my work with Psychologist, with hypnotherapy, is a higher self-esteem, confidence. I don't know if it's the same. You can elaborate on that as well, self-esteem and confidence. But in general, I realized how many more things I can do with my life with more confidence. Things like this podcast, improv theater, that wouldn't be possible before like 2020. So could you elaborate a little bit on self-esteem?
Self-esteem is also something that I work so much with my clients. I mean, if your self-esteem is low, you're so limited in your life. Like I see it on myself as well. I don't want to repeat myself, but I started with my first therapist to work on my self-esteem. And it changed so much. I don't know if I would have been a successful psychologist and being able to be a digital nomad if I didn't do that work on self-esteem as well. So self-esteem is basically like your self-perception, I would say. And I see it confidence. I see it as a part of this self-perception, is a component of this. And like there's so many things that you can do to work on it. There's like exercises, maybe writing down what your talents are, what you're good at. Ask other people also what you're good at, see what they come to you for or something like that. But a big advice that I would say to boost your self-esteem, you mentioned improv before. And like to me, for example, doing things that are completely out of my comfort zone, like starting to travel, doing improv, doing, I don't know, so many different things in different countries, like boosted my self-esteem so much. Like being able to do something, and I will also advise it to my clients all the time. Of course, for some of them it's easier, for some of them it's more difficult, but like do something that is out of what you do every day. Like, for example, participating to this podcast is not something that I would do every day, you know, like, so like do as many new things as you can, because when you see that you work, like, I don't know, I've done two years of, I studied theater for 2 years, and I felt like I was so bad at it at the beginning, but in the end, I felt like I succeeded. And honestly, if I didn't do that, I don't know if I would be where I am now in life. So try to do as many new things as you can, and that's gonna really change your life. And also, like, there's of course a lot of exercise that you can do about self-esteem, but it's like a combination of different things, I feel like. And yeah, I've seen that there's a lot of people who struggle. I think it's also, I don't want to blame society for Western society for everything, but it's like it puts us in so much pressure, and there's so much, as we were saying before, like, there's so many other people that do the same thing that we do, that are, but better. Like, I don't know, so many travel bloggers or whatever that have these amazing lives, and we try to like compare ourselves to them. So I feel like that's why self-esteem is a very relevant issue. I cannot tell you how many clients I get that come to me with self-esteem issues. Like there's so many. It's really, concerning, I would say. Yeah.
There are so many talents that are not being used just because those people are not confident. And on the other hand, you sometimes see people who are much less skillful, and with enough confidence, they are
they believe in it.
Using it.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah, I realized with my experience with improv theater, I have been going to those workshops, to those classes with my coach, like in small groups. And he expanded the comfort zone step by step. One of the things, for example, he said, okay, let's do a monologue. And for me, it was like, oh, it's so difficult. Like for 1 minute, just to come up with something. And then I did it, and I was like, oh, actually it worked much better than I expected. And every time I did bigger things, now it's like couple minutes monologue in front of like 20, 30 people. And I gained so much confidence. I was thinking like, okay, where could I use my confidence now? Should I do some speeches on like conferences or something like that? Or should I do a stand-up comedy?
No, that's amazing. Yeah, you definitely should do it. Yeah.
I tried to do a couple of times stand-up comedy. And yeah, I was also surprised. It was so scary, but it worked pretty well, actually.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it's scary, as we said before, I mean that it's good for you, you know? Like, of course, it's like you don't want to get too much. As you said before, it's good to get out, like, slowly out of your comfort zone. Don't do something that is, like, completely terrifying for you. But, like, step by step, you can get pretty much anywhere, I believe, you know? So it's amazing. Such a good inspirational story that you brought up. Yeah.
Thank you. So it's also difficult to see if you have a lack of self-esteem. Are there ways how I can check, or our listeners can check, if they have like enough self-confidence?
I mean, there's some questions that you can ask yourself, basically, or some things that you can be aware of. If you tend to, for example, criticize yourself a lot, of course, that's a big sign of not having a high self-esteem. Or if you struggle making decisions, for example, like if it's difficult for you to make. I remember when I had a lower self-esteem, I would struggle doing like everyday decisions. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. If you're not able to take criticism, of course, if you have a high self-esteem, of course, it's not always easy to take criticism, but it's going to be like easier because you know your worth, basically. If you have a low self-esteem, like if somebody criticizes you, you're going to be brought down by that. You're going to be like torn apart by that comment. So yeah, I feel like those are the most important. And in general, like, what is the perception that you have of yourself? Like, how do you feel about yourself? Like, and what I always give my clients, try to list down to understand if they have. It's kind of like a test to understand something super easy to understand if you have a high or low self-esteem. Try to list down your personal strengths and your flaws, basically. Like, what is easier for you, because a lot of people can give me like 20 things that they're bad at, 20 flaws, but no personal strength. Of course, there's also the opposite, but that's a sign of that you should definitely work on it. Yeah.
Can you have too much self-esteem where it becomes negative?
I mean, it's called narcissism. Yeah, you definitely can. Like, I believe that everything is good until it hurts other people. If you get to a point of self-esteem where it becomes like, I have like not caring about other people, that can be the bad kind. And I was joking, but also not joking. It can become narcissism, and that's never good, of course. Yeah.
So if you list only strengths and can't think of any of your weaknesses, then it's probably also unhealthy. You should see a psychologist.
Yeah, like at least have like 2 or 3 weaknesses, I would say. I mean, for me, now I have a high self-esteem and I can list a lot of my strengths, but I also know what my weaknesses are. And the thing is that you always have to put yourself into discussion and try to work on your weaknesses. But I also believe that weaknesses are not always weaknesses, you know, like it depends on the situation. So it's not, the definition is not so strict, I would say. But, the most important thing is like, try to work on, you feel like it's not good for you, and yeah, to get better.
So let's talk about self-sabotaging. That's also a very common problem, I think, that many people don't recognize even.
Yeah, self-sabotaging is another big theme. It's a little bit more tricky to identify, maybe even more the like imposter syndrome and all the like low self-esteem and all the things that we talked about, because I mean, the person is most of the time not aware of the fact that it's happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking about it and letting it out and making the person aware during the session, for example, of what's happening, and so that the person can continue to work on it by themselves. Because I see that a lot of the people that I have around, a lot of my clients and me as well, myself as well, I include myself in this, are not really able to identify this. Maybe it's something small, like always getting ready at the last minute for something. Like it seems like something stupid, but it's kind of like a self-sabotaging thing, you know, or like, not getting enough sleep and putting too many activities during the day, not resting, it's also a self-sabotaging thing. Or waiting last minute to do something, or there's an infinite list, but like, even here, it's kind of like maybe a defense from our body to not make us progress or to keep us in the same situation, as I said before. And it's way more tricky to identify, but you can definitely work on it with the right tools, of course. It's always, I'm gonna repeat myself again, but it's always a matter of being aware. But in this case, I can see that people need a little bit more of maybe psychoeducation from me and telling them, listen, this is self-sabotaging, this is what's happening in you, and maybe explain to them a little bit more, because it's more difficult for them to identify it by themselves, because there's so many things that we tend to ignore and we don't think they're such a big deal. But in the end they are, because they interfere with your everyday life, with your, positive experiences and everything. So it is a big deal in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. I recognized myself. I am always trying to work until the last second, and then I'm hurrying, and then I'm almost coming late, and oftentimes a couple minutes late, and I'm wondering why. So there is some room.
Yeah, there is some room, definitely. That's also probably because most of us are kind of like adrenaline junkies, so we want to have the kind of rush of adrenaline. I'm also like that sometimes. That we don't know if we're going to finish that or not, if we're going to make it on time. But that's what you mentioned is a big, not a big sign, but it could be a sign of a little bit of self-sabotaging. And maybe try to, I don't know, like ask yourself, why is this happening? Why am I actually doing this, and why is it a pattern that it repeats like every time, or maybe not every time, but sometimes when I have to finish a job or finish a work project or something. Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, or self-employed, better to say, because I have a marketing agency, I always have the feeling not doing enough. So that's why I'm trying to pack as much as possible. And then I say, okay, while I'm gone, there is some progress from my team.
Yeah, it's kind of like self-sabotaging, meeting imposter syndrome or something, and creating like a dynamic duo. Yeah, killing the world, something. Yeah, but again, we all have it, like, especially as entrepreneurs or people that work from themselves. Like, it's sometimes very difficult to manage everything. When you work with other people, make everyone happy and to feel like because there's nobody telling you what you should do. So like what you should or shouldn't do. So it's like, it's really hard sometimes to be like, am I doing, to understand if you're actually doing enough. And, but the answer is yes, most of the time, let me tell you that. If you're asking, because there's people who don't do enough, who don't ask themselves those questions, if you're asking yourself that question, it means that you probably are doing more than enough. Yeah.
Maybe I should act like I have a split personality and always talk with me as a boss of me, or as a parent and as a child.
Yeah. It can work. Yeah. Why not?
Could you explain a little bit self-sabotaging in terms of finance? So, for example, if people want to become like successful and wealthy, but they are not progressing so much, could it be also something related to wrong perspective on money or negative thoughts of money?
Oh yeah, that's a big topic, and I put myself into this field as well, because sometimes our kind of like self-sabotaging or self-limiting beliefs can definitely, especially if we're working for ourselves, again, it can definitely affect. In general, like I feel like entrepreneurs have most of them, some of them have a bad relationship with money, because we feel like we have to manage everything for ourselves. You have to find a balance between like saving money and trying to not spend too much, but also allowing yourself to do stuff. For me, it was such a struggle at the beginning when I started being an entrepreneur, that I wanted to save at all costs. I even save on food sometimes, because I didn't want to waste money or spend too much. But eventually you have to find a balance between saving money, investing in what's needed. And some investments are actually needed, I don't know, for your website or whatever. I'm trying to think of examples, but it's like, and also like enjoying life as well, because like, I mean, I believe that the people that work from themselves, most of us, they do this kind of life to also try to enjoy life, right? Like we don't want to work 24/7 and be overloaded by work. So also if spending money means, because eventually like you are your own business, so you need to take care of your business. That's what's really important, you know? So if taking care of your business, for me, for example, it means having at least 1 hour, 2 hours a day in which I can do yoga, meditation, or sport. Like, it's also a different topic because I'm a psychologist. I have to be well balanced. So that's very important. But for everyone in general, like you have to take care of you because you are your business. So if you need to spend money, to invest in yourself, that's good. Like if you need to spend money to go on a weekend or whatever, to rest or to go to the spa, I don't know, allow it to yourself, you know? So yeah, it's really important to take care of you because you are your business. That's something that I learned for myself in the hardest way, probably in the hard way. But yeah, it's super important.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, you also need to take risk and you need to invest sometimes. Instead of hiring the cheapest possible freelancer, for example, you hire someone better, and instead of doing it half kind of assed with certain marketing aspects or a certain product development and trying to save as much money as possible. And then you have like crappy process, crappy marketing and crappy product, and you are not going anywhere. And you saved some money, but it doesn't help you. So you need to balance it. And I think that's also the next topic. The fears, they can also be probably destructive to startups and entrepreneurs if you don't take the decisive decisions or decisive action, if you don't invest. Then because of fears, because like with fears you are like stuck maybe a little bit like a mouse in front of a snake. Could you talk about fears a little bit?
Yes, of course. It's another big topic. I feel like we're covering so many important topics. Yeah, and fears, basically what's holding most of us back from getting what we want. It's kind of like defense mechanism can be linked to fear. What we talked about already before, imposter syndrome, self-sabotaging, it's all linked to fears. And even in this case, it's very important what I try to do with my clients, be aware of these fears. But in this case, we maybe use also meditation and visualization to try to get through these fears, because sometimes they can be really important and hard, and sometimes very difficult to overcome them. But again, the first step is to be aware of it. Like, what are you scared of? Why are you scared of that? Like, what is it that makes you so scared? And the talking part in which you allow yourself to understand what fear is there is super important. But I also use a lot of exercises such as meditation to try to overcome the fears and to understand what you would need, you know, like what would you need where does this fear come from? What would your inner child need? Like, what is your wound, you know? Like, what do you need to move on and to be better? What does your body and your mind need in order to overcome this big fear? So yeah, that's a very big topic. We all have them. It would be amazing sometimes I ask this question, which is very powerful. And I remember I learned it in my coaching master, and I was like, this question is amazing. Like, what would you do if you didn't have fear? So especially if you didn't fear the failure, for example, that's the big fear that we have. Like, what would you do? And sometimes the answer is amazing. And like, so the next phase is trying to understand how you can overcome this fear. Cause like, what on the other side of the fear is just so beautiful and so amazing for you. And that's really important to understand how to overcome it. But yeah, there's a lot of different tools to do that. Yeah.
Could we explore a little bit the part of meditation and visualization? Because meditation can be just focusing on the breathing.
There's a lot of different things. Like meditation for me is such a powerful tool. I started meditating I started like a few years ago, but I started doing it every day, I believe a year ago or something. And I try to use it in my sessions as much as I can, because I really see the importance of meditation. Because first of all, sometimes we have a lot of stimulations from the outside. For example, I don't know if you go out and you're in traffic and people talk to you about things, you get so many phone calls in the morning. So to have a moment, whether it's in the morning or in the night, to just sit and be there and be with your thoughts and try to accept them, as we said before, and let them flow. It's so important. And like, I see that for me and for my clients as well, sometimes it really changes your perception and your experience during the day. To have a moment for yourself. It can be, there's so many different meditations, honestly. Like the breathing one is already very powerful. It can be the lake or the mountain one, in which you imagine to be as calm as the lake or as strong as the mountain. They all come from the mindfulness theory. There's for example, the compassion. You can work on that. There's a kindness and compassion meditation that also derives from mindfulness. That's also very important. Maybe in a person that's full of like resentment or anger or fear. And for me, like what I try to do and what I advise my clients to do is to choose as much time as it's sustainable for you. I mean, for me, it's like 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be half an hour. Of course, sometimes if I can and if I feel like I need it, I do half an hour. Sometimes I do 1 hour, maybe with other people, in classes and stuff. But it's like, choose the time that is sustainable for you, but try to do it every day, whether it's it can be without the guidance. I use a lot Insight Timer, which is an app. It's very useful and nice. It can be with YouTube. It can be whatever, just as long as it works for you and you can do it every day. And because then it becomes sustainable thing, and then it really helps you to be more focused. What really changed for me is being more focused on the present moment, because like the present moment is honestly all that we have, like all the things that happened in the past are not there anymore. All the things that we think about in the future are not there yet. So what do we have? We have now. So meditation really helps you to be focused on the now, to accept more, to be in the present moment, to have less judgments towards yourself and other people, because that's also a big topic. For me, it really changed me, alongside, of course, with therapy and all the other things that I did. And for my clients as well, I have a lot of clients who thank me so much because I brought them into this world, and of course, for other people, it just doesn't work, that you have to find your way and try out different things. And like meditation can be anything. It doesn't have to be like sitting down at a desk or whatever with your crossed legs and meditate. It can be, you can meditate while you're cooking or while you're driving, as long as you're present in that moment and you're not distracted, because we spend most of our days distracted by other things, not focusing on what's going on in that moment. Like we eat, but we don't even remember what we ate. We drove, but we don't even remember how we got there, because it's just like the automatic thing, we know the road, so we don't even pay attention. But it's so important to be present with what you're doing, because it really changes everything. So that's for meditation. And visualization is a very powerful tool that I use, and I also done a lot of workshops about it. It's kind of like a meditation, but instead you visualize yourself or some situations. In my case, what I do with my clients is to help people to reach more effectively their goals and have some insight on how they can reach those goals. They visualize themselves in those situations, so that we actually train our brain, train our mind to do that action. So when we actually have to do that, it's going to be as if we've done it before. So it's going to be a lot easier. We can really ease into it. So it's very much used by professional athletes, for example, and for a lot of different things. And it's very powerful. And you can even, like, you do the visualization, you can write a letter to your future self. There's a lot of different exercises you can do in this area. And yeah, for me, like, every exercise that I use with my clients, I try to, of course, on myself first. And for me, it worked so well, because again, if I didn't visualize it, if I didn't do this exercise on me I don't know, you can even repeat it maybe once a month, because every time it's a different, completely different experience. I don't know if I would be where I am now. So visualization is super powerful. And I see that if I do it once a month, for example, with the same client, like a lot of things have changed and it's something completely different. And also our brain is more trained every time that we do it. So it's going to be easier and probably more effective every time that we do it. Yeah. So that's visualization.
Yeah, I did also visualization. I had 8 different strategies for our business and it was so overwhelming to choose the right path. And then I was visualizing me doing this like in 1 year, in 2 years, the same, like full time, doing only this one particular strategy. And then after that, I had so much clarity because I knew, okay, I don't want actually to do 5 of those things. I realized how lonely I felt, how bored I felt. And with one of those, I felt like, wow, that's exactly what I want, which direction I want to go. And suddenly I didn't have overwhelming number of options, but only like a couple of them.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like it works a lot with people that have a lot of different options, different directions that can be overwhelming. They have to choose like maybe one or two. Visualizing yourself, I also do it with people that have like, they tell me, I don't know, I'm really undecided between this and that. Okay, let's try to visualize yourself in this situation. How would you feel? How would your life look like? How's your everyday life? How are the people around you? Who do you feel surrounded? In which landscape do you see yourself in, for example, like in what do you see yourself doing? How do you feel? That's the most important question. So try to imagine like in every kind of situation, it's really powerful because eventually our brain knows, our mind knows how it would feel in that situation.
Yeah. I think our subconscious mind is so incredible, strong, and has so much wisdom. And with all those tools, we can get more out of it.
Yeah. We just have to let it out, to understand how to use to make the best out of all of this talent that we have. The intuition, for example, we have such strong intuition, and sometimes we're too overwhelmed by external factors that we don't even use it, but our mind is it's not random that I do this job, because I believe that our mind is a very powerful tool,
Yes.
So.
Wow, you gave so much value to our listeners today. That's incredible. I think even without the coaching, you already changed their lives. And of course, they can can have to dive deeper into their challenges and get a bit more objective perspective if they get in touch with you. So what can they do if they want to dive deeper with you, Marta?
Yes, of course. I will leave my email and also my LinkedIn and my Instagram. Yeah, if that's possible.
Yeah,
and what I normally do with my clients, I do a free call, basically, which normally lasts like half an hour, just to explain a little bit more. I talked about it a lot today, I believe, but explain a little bit more of what I do and understand what the other person needs, and to see if there's a base to start a journey together. So and then we can actually start with the coaching or therapy. So yeah.
So there is very little risk. So the people can get to know you, can see how you might be able to help them, and only if they feel comfortable and you feel comfortable also helping them, so then they can take the next step.
Yeah, there's always have to be, like I understood that as a psychologist, we cannot work with everyone. I mean, I'm a people's person and I work well with people, but not all of them. So for me, I do this call, first of all, to understand a situation that maybe needs other kinds of help. It happens sometimes, of course. And also to understand if there's a match between me and the person. Of course, it's not always easy to understand it in half an hour, but it's a very important thing to understand at the beginning. So yeah, that's why I do this call. Yeah. And also to answer all of the questions that they might have about how it works and everything. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Marta. It was such a pleasure. All right. Bye-bye. Have a nice rest of the day. Ciao.
Ciao.